Hello.
Welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 145, and Neelix
Oh,
is already here.
it's Neelix.
Um, it is February the 17th, 2013, and I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les,
I'm Laura, also known as Lala,
and this is Neelix, who is a
also known as.
very needy pants. Okay, so last episode he did this as well, and people were very concerned that he was chewing my yarn or my blanket. And he's pretty good about not messing with my knitting stuff for the most part. So don't worry. He had a bone. If he's doing something bad, you don't see him. So that's how
He
you know.
disappears.
He's like a toddler that way. So anyhow, why don't you show us what you're working on, Laura?
Okay, I am working on the TGV shawlette by Susan Ashcroft. I'm in the middle of a row, but I'll spread it out. It is around 40 inches wide at this point because these are my 40-inch signature size 7 length needles. And I figured out what yarn this is. And you know how I did? I used my Ravelry stash feature, which
Because
tells you,
the only stash that's in there was what you put in there like 5 years ago.
like, maybe, yeah.
So what is it?
So it is Sprightly Goods Faye. And I think it's the Thistle colorway or something along those lines. But it looks like that. And I don't have this one actually in there. I have a blue one. And I was like, that's what that yarn is. So it's a light fingering weight, which is why it's a little bit more drapey
Mhm.
than this shawl might be on using other yarn. Plus, I'm a loose knitter, as evidenced by all my sweater swatching ever. So that's the first thing on my needles. The second thing on my needles, I worked on these a lot this week.
I can tell.
I'm through the toe of my hand spun socks. So I'm using Wendy's toe up socks with an afterthought heel from her first sock book. And this is the first one. And this is the second one. Look, they're so happy. I'm just gonna leave it like that too.
You rock on with your bad self.
I'm knitting them on size 1.5 needles and or ones. I think ones maybe. I don't know. I have no
Gauge.
no, I don't have a needle sizer. It's one or the other. It'll be fine. Um, and this is a 3-ply sock yarn that I spun out of Crown Mountain Farms last year and gave it all to Leslie, and then she sent me back her leftovers. And in the skein, what's left looks like that. So
Very pretty.
it's getting there. I'm enjoying it. It's fun to knit with, and it lives in my little Tangerine Designs bag with foxes and polka dots on the inside.
Very happy. She does a good job matching the fabrics.
She does, and I really want to. She had a sweater bag this week that was yarn bombing, so it was like bicycles and light
Mhm.
posts wrapped in yarn, and I really wanted it, but I got carjacked. That happens.
The
So
audacity of someone to buy something that you wanted.
whatever. There were multiple ones too. I think there were like 3 maybe.
Yeah, she always
I-
does them in batches.
Yeah, so I'm just slow. It also did not help. Remember how I was telling you my cap shift story? That was it. I'm like repeatedly typing in my password, and really I only did it like 5 times. I might have exaggerated when I said 30 earlier, but I had caps lock on, so my password wouldn't go in. I was getting so frustrated.
So I picture like the Reddit rage face here.
But I only missed it by maybe 30 seconds because I was on there right when it went up.
Mhm.
The TGV is in a bag that my mom made me.
Aw.
It's quilted.
I use the one that she gave me that's the same basic shape for
Uh-huh.
all of my needles.
Well,
I
that's a
keep
good
all
plan.
my needles in there.
It works well for like single socks
Mhm.
or shawlettes that have not gotten so big.
Are those the
It's
only
not
two things you're
small.
working on?
No, I have a sweater too.
Oh.
Look, I'm easily distracted.
I was just asking.
So in my sweater bag from 3 Bags Full, my big giant sweater bag that is awesome and fun, I have a sweater. Yeah, you have Sharon's. That's
I
so
do.
sweet. Sharon sent me a tape measure. It's in my school. It's at school actually, and it's covered with felt. She does recycled sweaters, which I
Mhm.
think is really cool. So she goes to the thrift store, buys a really cool sweater, runs it through the washing machine to felt it, and then uses that wool and recycles it and covers tape measures with it, which is really cool.
She's
She
she's
sent
a
me
very
that.
crafty girl.
It was very nice. So this is my I don't feel like I'm really giving anything away here. This is my mystery sweater for Mel of single-handed knits. I'm not done with the first clue, so I'm guessing at this point most of you have gotten through the first clue because I'm
Because she
slow.
releases them on Tuesdays.
Yep, and it's kind of a jumbled mess right now, but mine looks like this. It's not yet to the armpits, but I'm using really cute stitch markers from the person who's doing our bag giveaway this week, which is right here. And that is absolute wonder. She gave me some stitch markers when I saw her, and
Mhm.
they're like perfect for this. You see them, and they're little hearts.
Aww.
They're working perfect. Like no snags, no catching. You can go like this all day long. They don't catch. So they're pretty perfect. And because I'm a loose knitter, I am knitting these on size 6 needles, which got me gauge across, but
So
not
you
row
got stitch
gauge.
gauge, but not row gauge.
Yes, which has caused me some issues.
Yeah, in a mystery sweater like that, it's really hard to know exactly where you need to adjust for that.
Well,
But
so,
Mel's done a good job
oh
explaining
yeah,
that.
no, this is totally my fault. This is not Mel's fault because I'm a loose knitter and I had to go down to sixes to get the, what is it, 5 stitches per inch? 5 stitches per
5
inch?
stitches to the inch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I had to go down to sixes to get that. And really, I probably should have gone down to fives. I should have gone down one more. Um, but I wasn't going to because I'm like at 4 1/8 of an inch, which that little eighth of an inch will add up. But that's okay because I'm doing my actual bust measurement with no ease. So I'm guessing that eighth of an inch will kind of come into play at some point. Give me some ease. So, yes. So because I'm not getting row gauge, instead of increasing every other row, I'm increasing every third row in the raglans to get it long enough. So it's
Mhm.
almost there. My measurement, see, this goes back to like call Shirley taking all my measurements. My measurement from like my bone here to my underarm is 9 inches. So I need to get this to 9 inches. Right now it's
Before
at
you
like
can
7.
split for the sleeves.
Yep. So I'm getting there. Slowly but surely. I'm a slow knitter. And I keep taking it to school, which is not advantageous because I can't really try it on at school.
Yeah.
But I did try it on at home. I have tried on tubing, which is cool stuff. Um, and it's from Machine Knitting to Die For, and it's this tubing. I know, shocker. This is my other bag from 3 Bags Full. These are my fancy yarn holders for my stitches. Anyway, so it's this tubing and it goes on the ends of your knitting needles. Like it pops right on over, and then you can slide the stitches over it. I pinch up and move, and that works really well for me. And it just goes right on, and I don't have to switch out cords, which I can't do on my signatures anyways, but or worry about grabbing another needle. I can just slide it on, and that lives in my bag of fun as well. So that's it. That's all my knitting for the week. Yep, that's all my knitting for the week. So,
Okay. Well, I have 3 works in progress. Um, First is my Mabel Socks, and this is a pattern by Sadie Yarnivore. And I don't have the pattern with me; it's upstairs. But I've started sock number 2. This is the cuff of sock number 2.
Cute.
And this is on my Haya size 1.5 because I'm a tight knitter. Laura and I are opposite. Her tension is usually always looser than mine.
I was gonna say there's no sometimes.
I finished sock number 1. I was working on the heel flap and the gusset when I was chatting with some friends in a VKN on Friday, and then I just kind of kept going. But I tried it on when it was about here, and it's too tight for me, which I kind of knew that it was going to be going into it because it's only 66 stitches around. And while it is stretchy, as a random lady in a Mississippi bookstore or library told me once, I have massive calves. So, and that's totally fine, and I should have adjusted it, but since I didn't, it'll be a gift, and that's totally fine with me. And I'm actually going to give this to my friend Tammy out in Colorado, and I don't think she watches podcasts. I don't think she has time to watch podcasts, so
She's
I can
busy.
say that. Yeah, but and she's a sweetheart, and I like her a lot. So I finished the first one because she has a wee tiny foot. And that's actually how I gauged who these were going to go to, is who had a wee tiny foot that I could be finished sooner. And Tammy won that lottery. So
Yay, because she wears like a size 5.
6.5.
Okay.
I think that's because none of her finished pattern project pages say what size she wears, but she had finished a pair of socks in a striping yarn. And I knew how many rows you would get to the inch, so I counted because I'm a stalker like that.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. So, and
I probably would have texted her.
But I wanted to be a surprise. So.
Oh, okay.
This is the second one I've started. I've done 3 of the cable crosses. And again, this is in the Numma Numma Doppio in the sea turtle.
That yarn.
I think it's the sea turtle colorway.
I know it's the sea turtle colorway.
And I love it. It's got so many shades of green in it. It makes me happy. So that was the first thing. This is what I took to work this week to work on, although I might have worked on it 30 minutes or 45 maybe at work. I talked to my boss, and she's okay with me knitting during conference calls that involve like presentations when I'm supposed to be paying attention. So instead of being on a conference call with 100 people and playing on the internet and not paying attention, at least while I'm knitting, I'm paying attention. So it helps that she knew a person that used to do it as well. My second project is a found project. So I'm traveling to Ohio on Tuesday evening. I'm going to Cincinnati, and I'm only going to be there for Wednesday because I have to get licensed by the Gaming Commission in Ohio for something I'm doing in April, where I'll be there for like a week, but it'll be Cleveland, not Cincinnati. So anyway, I'm going with 3 other people at work because we all have to go to the same thing. And because I offered to drive, that meant I had to clean out my car, which I haven't done since I moved. And I found a project in the trunk that I had forgotten all about.
Huh.
And I don't think it has been since I moved. I think I must have just put it back there at some point and forgotten about it in my zigzag stitches bag.
Cute.
And it is
it
Friday's
Afterthought
Studios.
Heel Socks? Yes.
Yes, in the Leslie Special colorway.
Cool.
And it's this crazy bright colors. And when I pulled it out, it was about here. In fact, I know it was here because I know it was the first orange stripe after the Afterthought heel line, which is here. So I pulled this out yesterday because Beck and I went thrifting right after I cleaned out my car. So last night and part of this morning, I finished the foot, and just as Laura and I were working out some technical difficulties earlier, I picked up for the Afterthought heel and started it. So, and these are on my signature size 1s, so I'm kind of glad I found this project because I had no idea where these needles had disappeared to.
Cool.
And I really like them. So, and I like this yarn a lot. I can tell that it's going to wear really well.
Mhm.
And I think that it's a 80-20. No, it's 25% polyamide, and which is nylon, and 75% superwash merino. So, and again, that's Friday Studios, Frida, who's super nice.
Cool.
And I have one more. And it should go without saying I have nothing finished this week. But I do have one more project, and it is the same as Laura. It is the Ho Aloha Mystery Knit Along with TinkandKnit, Mel. And I am using Madeline Tosh Sport. Oh, here it is. Tosh Sport in the William Morris colorway. I've gone through almost 2 entire skeins of it. This is the 3rd one. I got to wind it.
How many total skeins do you have for it?
I have 8. I'm not going to need that many. I'll have left over. Which I think is good because I've never really considered knitting a shell like this. Like a layering piece that wasn't necessarily a sweater. And I don't know what it's going to look like. Mel has not shown me what the end product is. But I just like the raglan effect. And I might do another. Well, I will. And I'll talk about that later. But anyhow, so this is the sweater so far. I'm not giving anything away. And I have divided for the sleeves. And it fits me very well. It's only, right now, it's only at the fullest part of the bust, which is a very full bust. It's a 48. I'm very blessed in that respect. But it is working up really well. The directions are very clear. And if you've already purchased the pattern and you don't know, you should be going to her blog, singlehandedknits.com, and there's special password protected posts. And she just did a video one the other day and posted it. And it really explained the construction of how a raglan worked and this particular pattern, how to make adjustments. And I thought she did a very good job with it. So, and that is living in my Amy Beth. I bought one of her sweater bags because she's sweet and funny, and she is my internet wife. So I just
she has a great podcast called The Fat Squirrel Speaks.
My significant other is staring at me and laughing. So because
I'm kind of hurt that I'm not your internet wife, by the way.
Honey, our bond is much deeper than we're in a business together. So
we're business partners. Financially, we're like this.
Yeah. Well, if one of us is screwed, we're both screwed. So
yeah.
Those are my works in progress. I have no finished objects, and I have no spinning.
I have no finished objects. So I'm going to go straight into spinning. I finished the last little bit of the Crown Mountain Farms. So this is a Navajo plaid. So if you look at the other, and I have a couple other smaller ones of these too. So this is the 2 that were 3 ply, and here's the Navajo ply.
That's crazy.
So I always found that interesting.
Yeah.
This is around 100 yards. One of these, the smaller one, is like 3 something, and then the bigger one's 4 something. So over 800 yards total, 3 ply out of 8 ounces. So I'm happy with that.
Badass.
That's not too bad. So that's the first thing, and I haven't washed any of these yet, of those skeins. The rest have been washed. The second thing that I finished was I finished the Southern Cross fibers that I was working on. This is a really, really cool blend. It is alpaca Falkland. So it is 80% Falkland, 20% merino, or 20% alpaca. There we go. And I got it in an accent pack. So it was these 3 colors together.
That's very cool.
The largest one is 320 yards of the rhubarb. I think this one's warm sand, and it's like 75. And then something sun, 80 yards. So the reason why I was spinning this was for his solid knit along. I have not gotten to the knit along part, and it ends on Thursday. But yeah, I'm just going to enter in the spinning portion. I think a lot of people are just entering in the spinning portion. There's like, I think 15 or 20 finished objects total. And it's been going since November. I just can't get my act together.
I mean, yeah, I completely understand that. There's so much I need to be doing, and I'm just not. So.
And then I finished my Into the World.
That is very pretty.
was the fiber. This was her club fiber from January. It's English Shetland. And I spun it. First, I made it into faux logs, which is a way of making fake row logs, which jumble the fibers up and make it more of a woolen prep.
Mhm.
And then I spun it woolen. I spun a supported long draw method, and then I Navajo plied. And I will never Navajo ply woolen spun, probably ever again.
Excuse me.
Um, because my first off, I don't like the finished product a whole lot with the Navajo ply. With when you two ply a long draw, um, the thinner parts tend to end up with the thicker parts. But when you Navajo ply, it's where it's thin, it stays thin and it's very noticeable. And where it goes thick and it's very noticeable. So it's very thick and thin, um,
I
which
don't
is
see
fun.
that as a bad thing, but I can understand you being disappointed in yourself.
Yeah, and it broke around 25 times while I was
Yeah,
Navajo playing it.
there was a bit of cursing during the weekend.
Yeah, because I was Navajo playing it during the weekend. I do like um, how it came out as a gradient.
Yeah, and that's a result of you splitting it and doing the faux logs because the fiber is not dyed. This particular fiber is not dyed in
No,
a gradient.
it's dyed and a variegated, and then when I did the little row logs, which y'all saw last week, and the trays, I separated them out by color. So you make, y'all have probably, I linked to the video or the thread last week where you just pull it out and you roll it. And so I would, just if they were yellow, they went on the yellow side of the tray. If they were that light aqua-ish, they went on the light aqua side. If they were the dark blue, they went there. And there was like a purpley, like a lighter blue, they were there, they went on a separate side. So this came out to 160 yards ish. Um,
Very cool.
yeah, it's Shetland, so it's not like super soft,
Mhm.
but I think it'll be like a good. Maybe I'll do Lost Banner hat or something like
Yeah.
that. Or I should go back in that thread and see all the awesome gradient suggestions y'all made a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
for one of the prizes. But yeah, that's that. Um, I enjoyed the long draw. It seemed to take forever though, which it shouldn't. It actually goes faster. But towards the end, I just wanted it done. What's new on the wheel is I taught a spinning class. Well, I've been emptying bobbins, obviously, like all this stuff, finishing it up. So what's going on my wheel next is the fiber optic. What's on the line drum. Yesterday, I taught a spinning class at my local yarn shop, and I spun on Heather Boutrisse's Babe's Old Appliances colorway. So Highland Handmaids and the Old Appliances on Polwork. And I was spinning it kind of thick on purpose for demo purposes. And I have two bobbins of that will get plied together. So I just split it in half and did it fractally.
Mhm.
And I'm actually, if it's a thick enough weight, which I don't think it's going to be, there's a nitty pattern a couple of years ago with fractal spinning that I really liked, but I don't think it's going to be thick enough for that. And that's it for me for spinning for the most part. I have another alpaca falkland colorway in a deep dark blue down on the wheel right now, but I wasn't gonna lug it up here, and it's this in blue.
I don't know how you get so much done.
Because I don't know or do anything else really.
Ah.
But the when you spin thicker, like the sock yarn obviously took forever, but the thicker spun stuff did not take, like this is an Aran weight in most spots, so it didn't take very long.
Well, maybe it didn't, but the prep where you had to strip and create all the row logs or the
But that
faux
was over
logs.
like it's been on the wheel for over 2 weeks, and this has
Oh
been on
my
the wheel
God, it's been on the
for 3 weeks.
wheel for 2 weeks, Laura. 2 weeks?
I'm actually like last month in January I spun 2 pounds. This month I've spun less than a pound so far, so it's just all at once.
I haven't finished a braid this year. Not one.
Well, you're busy with your sweater knitting things.
It's sweet that you're making excuses for me.
I'm like all my knitting. I actually almost said that this should be called the Knit and TinkGirls because all I've been doing is ripping back
Yeah, you
this
did
week.
have some issues this week.
But it's been okay. Like everything I touched has turned to junk, except for this, which I love. That's why it's gotten so much work on it. But you can't tell. Someone, Brian David, yesterday tweeted, and he's like, "Hey," because he's knitting one too. Are you you on the ruffle yet? And it takes forever, and I just started laughing in my house because, like, I'm
No,
nowhere near the ruffle, dude.
you're not.
Oh my goodness, but it'll be fun. Some weeks are like that. Like some weeks I have more spinning mojo. That would be most weeks. Some weeks I have more knitting mojo.
I have the mojo. I would love to spin, but I just I feel like I can't. And I think part of it's tax time too. I'm working on my taxes and I'm working on the business taxes and I'm working on taxes for work because I'm in the specific department that's responsible for filing customers. Like if you win over a certain amount, you have to file a type of paperwork with the casino,
Uh-huh.
just so that because we have to pay the federal taxes, or well, you do, but we have to make you pay it, and so I have to help do that for all 40 plus casinos, like file that information with the
Wow.
IRS. So it's
That's
kind
a
of a pain in
lot.
the butt. But yeah, I'm a little taxed out right now.
That's a lot of math.
um,
I'm mapped out and I haven't done math.
I am, and it's funny that they even let me do this because really they should have given me a math test. But I always have somebody check my work. I have another work in progress before you do your book review, but it's not knitting or spinning, it's quilting.
Cool.
I did spend a few hours on a quilt. I have a friend at work who is getting married, and she's been with her person for like, I don't know, 10 years or something, and they're finally doing it. They're finally getting married. So it's kind of like me and Michael. Like eventually it'll happen. We might as well be. It's just a piece of paper. But I saw this cute quilt on Pinterest, and I've been wanting to make it for somebody. It's not the kind of quilt that would be cute for me and Michael because we're not like the cutesy romantic type. I can see you laughing from here. But
I'm not
anyway,
laughing. I'm being very respectful and silent.
the idea of this quilt is to look like a carved tree trunk when
Oh,
you're,
I know which
you
one.
carve
That's
your initials
cute.
into the tree trunk. And so I've just finished the top, and so I picked a fabric that looked kind of like the closest thing I could find to bark, and then I put on this applique heart and I stitched around it so that it'll stay down. I have to sew in her initials. Actually, I got to find out her husband's last name, so I don't even know his initial. But yeah, and then you just stitch over this with darker brown thread to make it look like wood grain, and it doesn't have to be
Cool.
perfect at all. So it's kind of easy. I cut pieces for the back so that I can do friendship braid because I kind of like that. I think I'm going to do that on all the back of my quilts. But this part was pretty easy. I may use that in a future one, but
It's cute.
thanks. So anyhow, but you have a book review.
I do. I've had this book for a while and I keep meaning to review it and it's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle. It is called Literacy Knits by Nicole Lore. Like
Literary
I
knits.
said, do what?
Literary knits.
What did I say?
Literacy.
Literacy?
That's for
The
something
irony.
later in the show. Let's talk about literary knits.
Literary knits. Sorry. We're going to talk about literacy later anyway. Um, Hmm. It's 30 patterns inspired by favorite books. It's published by Wiley Press, which it retails for $22.99. It's also available on Kindle and as an ebook. And inside there's all these projects. Let me go to that front page. Basically, inspired by different books. So
I love the
all those
visual index.
projects.
That's nice.
Yep. Love the visual index. I also love the fact that I love her table of contents. Just the
Oh,
graphic layout of that.
that's cute.
is very cute. And those books like that go throughout the whole thing. But she does give like tips and tricks for choosing yarn and how different yarn behaves, which I love. And then she goes into different kind of splicing. And there's a lot of these tutorial pictures throughout the book. And
That's
that's
cool.
very cool. And I've never seen a book, I don't think, before, a pattern book that goes into split splicing and knot splicing. And I know a lot of people use knot splicing in their spinning. So I thought that was pretty
Hmm.
cool, especially. I think that's one of the things that's suggested in the fiber optic group. They talk about um, knot and split splicing. But anyway, there are a bunch of different patterns. It starts with accessories. So there's the Meg mittens. Meg, of course, is a character from Little Women. So they're kind of girly, the little
They're
bow.
very sweet.
And then her sister Jo's mittens, and those are done out of Quince and Company Lark, are right there. So they're that similar, like Jo's more boyish. Did you ever read that book? I love that book.
I never read the book. I've seen the movie several times.
Okay, I will deem that acceptable. And that's done out of Valley Yarns, Northampton. All these patterns come in a variety of sizes. Like those, just the mittens have small, mediums, and larges. So they go from 8-inch circumference up to a 9.5-inch circumference, which I appreciate for taking the time to do. There's the chest fingerless gloves, which are a little bit of lace and color work,
That's
which
pretty.
I just love. And I think that would be great to use up some scraps, especially that second color. And that's out of Louette Gems fingering. So if you have some leftover solids from a pair of socks, very cool. Then it goes into women's shawls and garments. And there's the Emma shawl, which has a really, really cool construction. It goes from a circular to, it's not even a rectangle. It's one of those crazy shapes, like hexagon, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 5 sides. It's very, and then it goes into like it's very cool shape construction wise. Goes from a circle to a square to picking up triangles on either side. Just really, really neat. And
Hmm.
there it is, all put out.
Oh, that's cool. It's got like
Really
a
like that.
sunburst effect. I like that.
Very cool. And that uses a lace weight, um, cashmere, color mark cashmere, heavy lace cashmere. It's very pretty. I love the Elizabeth Bennet summer blouse. It's not something that I would wear,
Yeah.
but super cute corsety type style summer outfit. And that's done out of skinny cotton. And the sizes on that range from small to extra large. Um, so very cool. And it's got the actual schematics, which tells you that that's 41 through 65 inches at the bottom, but 28.5 through 48 at the lower bust. So very cool.
Yeah.
I kind of like, okay, this is never something that I would make, but the Galadriel hooded dress, it's a dress, but it's so freaking cool.
Wow. That is very pretty, and I would look horrid in it.
I know, but if I was like Denise from Lost City Knits,
Yeah.
super cute. That reminds me of her. All right, things that I've actually tagged and just am not talking about. The Lucy Honeychurch shawl from A Room with a View. It's pretty simple. I thought that would be great for handspun, which is
Yeah.
why I tagged it. Just that, feather and fan and a nice solid handspun. And it uses 4 skeins of alpacas of Wildcat Hollow Sport. So there's a lot of variety
Yeah. I've
between the types of
not heard of
yarn
that.
used as well. Then it goes into guys knits, which I always enjoy a book that has multiple patterns for guys. This is Ishmael from Moby Dick.
That would
And
be
it's like
pretty in the
crazy in
fall.
that like I love it in that variegated yarn, but if your man is not so into
Yeah.
that in a solid, it's very cable-y
In like
and
a
it would
heathered
be,
oatmeal or something.
yeah. And that's all out of Malabrigo Rios. So a nice super wash. There's a bunch of different sweaters. Some are kind of more crazy than others. Like there's one with bugs across the yoke.
And what's the
Um,
reference for that one?
that one, okay, now I have to show it to you.
Wow. Pretty.
Road, and that's out of Valley Yarns Cold Spring. I can see Steven making this.
Oh yeah. I can see both Stevens making that. Both Dramatic Knits and SO Waters.
I really like that. There it is. There's a better picture. And you have to wear that hat with it.
Oh yeah. I like the rib detail on the inside under the armpit. That's nice.
Yeah. I like it a lot. It's simple, but it's got those little details, which I really appreciate. And then there's some scarves and other neckwear. So a nice variety and hand stuff for the men. Very cool. And again, a bunch of different different types of fiber. And then, well, there's socks for guys. And then that goes into children's. So there's the Laura Pinafore, which you know I had to show.
Oh, that's
Little House
super
on the Prairie.
cute.
And I just finished reading a book called Maybe, Mayb, which is that same kind of era, Little House on the Prairie. So I really am into that right now. It's written all in poetry format.
Oh God, no, no, no.
I read the whole book, 200 pages or so, in half an hour. Really enjoyed it. It went fast. It didn't rhyme or anything. It was just.
That makes it worse. I'm very unappreciative of poetry. There's very little poetry that I enjoy.
This one is really, really interesting. It's a thrummed little like what bonnet from the Golden Compass,
Could?
but on the inside there's this little mouse.
That's a lot of work to hide the mouse.
It's so cute. It's duplicate stitch. So if you have someone who's a huge fan of that book, but she really goes into this is probably one of the best directions for thrumming I've ever seen. So these little tutorials throughout I really, really like. And then the last thing, kids wise that I really like the Epi bonnet.
Oh, that's cute.
I'm a sucker for a good bonnet on a kid, and that's out of Merlin, which is a merino linen blend that I actually have in my stash. So very look at that one. Oh,
I think that you're more of a sucker for cute baby and kid pictures than you are for.
I like the bonnet. But like I said earlier, she's got these great tutorials throughout the book with nice clear pictures. So
That's
I'm a big
awesome.
fan. That's Literary Knits by Nicole Lohr, $22.99, and you can also get it on your Kindle or iPad or Nook or whichever e-reader device you prefer.
That's awesome.
So I enjoyed that, and I think I'm gonna knit some of those mittens. I really like those Joe mittens. I think that would be a good use of hand spun too. Everything would be a good use for hand now.
I agree with you on that completely.
So favorite things.
Let's see. And y'all, I apologize. I have no idea what Michael's doing up there. It sounds like a stampede, and I don't know. I'm sorry.
Can't hear it, so maybe other people can't as well. Did you watch Project Runway this week?
I've not, so do not ruin it for me.
Oh, but I was going to talk about something on Project Runway.
You can talk about the thing that's in the show notes. That's fine. Just don't tell me who wins.
I'm not going to tell you who wins.
Good.
So on Project Runway this week, they have weaving. Like one of the contestants constructs a loom and weaves for the challenge. So I thought that was really cool. I like it when they do crafty things.
For anybody that doesn't know, Project Runway is a show that airs on Lifetime once a week. and you can go to mylifetime.com and watch it if you miss it on TV. But it's clothing designers, fashion designers who compete to show their lines on at Fashion Week, Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. And it's very cool. I like to see the creative construction and just the thought process of how they come to what they end up with, and sometimes it's just funny and terrible. So, but yeah, that's cool that they were weaving. Which contestant was it?
Benjamin.
Which one is he?
The guy from Australia.
Oh, I don't like him.
But I don't care for him a lot. He's not my favorite.
No, he's not my favorite. The mustache man.
Whoa. David is my favorite.
I like him.
By far. I like him, and I really like...
There's a chick with black hair, short
Michelle.
Black hair, who's got the circle tattoos. Yeah. I like her.
I'm not a huge fan of hers. I like I like the little girl from Nashville who was not Nashville, the girl who did the wedding dress design that won last week. Really like her.
She's 23 or something.
Yeah, she's from Chicago is where she's from.
Yeah.
But I like her a lot. Anyway, moving on. Do you want me to go next?
I did want to talk briefly about a knit along that's going to start on March the 8th. And it is Melissa Jean Designs is hosting a knit along for her Dublin tee. And it's a lacy shell with short sleeves. And I saw it in person on Mel because she actually sent Mel one that she had made when we met Mel in Denver. Mm-hmm. And I have the pattern. I'll show you guys.
Oh,
I got it.
That's what I was doing.
Oh, okay. I'm prepared. I got it. So it looks like this. And I think it's cute because it definitely would be a layering piece. You absolutely would have to wear something under it. Or I absolutely would have to wear something under it. And I think it's kind of creative because different sizes use different weights of yarn. And there's only 7 or 8 that are done so far, so I think it'll be a cool way to, I'm hoping it works out. I am going to be using my Volmise in the Mont Blanc colorway.
Oh, cool.
And this is like a steel blue gray. And I have 4 skeins of this 100% that a sweet viewer who went to the brick and mortar shop, she picked this up for me a while back.
That's the sock weight.
It is the sock weight because it's either fingering or sport depending on your size for the pattern. So.
Interesting. I had that same colorway in sport or in DK.
Yeah, another one of our friends does too.
Diane and Jessica.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to give them up like that, but you did.
Yep.
And I think that's it for me. You have a couple other things, though.
I do. I got my February club shipment from Dripping Fang Studios. So if you're in her club and have not gotten that, you might want to...
Fiber, not Dripping
Fiber. Okay.
Stop reading books that confuse your brain.
I will explain why I say Dripping Fang. There is a kids series of books called Dripping Fang. And there's like 20 books in the series. Not really, like 15. But like they're very popular with my 6th graders. So like I can't get, but I put in the show notes right.
I know. I was just, because if I don't correct you now, you will have people PM you and correct you. So.
Well, they will anyway. It'll be all right. So it is 2 different, I got a 2 colorway pack. So you could get just one character. So one of the Beatles. So John, Paul, George, or Ringo. But I got the Paul John pack, and it was her February club, and I got it with lots of sparkle. So there's the blue is the top one. I think I'm going to get it wrong. One's John and one's Paul. And they're going to be applied together. So they're going to end up looking like that.
Is this for Diane's thing that you're going to do it?
No. I didn't even think about that. There are 2 different ones, but they're not like 4 ounces of each. I don't know if she put a ounce requirement. I actually thought about combining them with the stuff that I pulled out for Diane's spin along, this purple, and combining it with that.
Yeah.
I can't decide. Because the prep's somewhat similar. They're both bats. So that might happen. Originally, I had pulled these to go with that.
Mhm.
So, there's fiber all over the place in here. Fiber everywhere. And then for Lent this year, I'm not giving up anything, but one of my librarian friends and I are going to do something. We are doing something called Literacy for Lent. And each day we are going to make an effort to read a different young adult or kids book. So I've been working on that, and I've finished 3 books this past week.
So that's reading a book a day?
No, it's more like reading at least, time permit, reading every day. I'm trying to do for an hour at least every day. I read the Maybe book, and then I've been tweeting about it more. I finished Moon Over Manifest, which was very good but very depressing. It sat on my desk for around a month because I knew what was going to happen. Like, I understand the things that happened during World War One,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like Downton Abbey. I kind of know what's going to happen with like someone's going to die at some point. Like that's what happens in war. Um, so I feel like that's not a spoiler, but so that sat on my desk for a while. So I powered through like the last 30 pages that I had to read. And then I did the Maybe book, which I said I read really fast, really quick read. And if you have a child who likes the Laura Ingalls Wilder type series,
Yeah.
really, really good. Or a child who's dyslexic and struggles with reading could definitely identify with the main character.
Hmm.
Because it is about a girl who's got a learning disability. And then I read, what is the name of that book? Some like Treasure Island type, very, there was a psych episode where they went after a treasure type thing. Very,
Yeah.
very much like Treasure Indiana Jones type of book. I read that the past 2 days, so that was a quick read. And next I'm going to read some fantasy, but I've been tweeting about that, so if you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to see all the things that I'm reading. And I'm really just making an effort to be able to talk to my students more about newer books that are coming out
Yeah.
there. It's hard for me to make time every day to get a new, especially when they're series. Like I'll read the first book in a series and I won't get to the next like 12
Yeah.
books in the series. So I'm making more of an effort to do that. And that's it for me for favorite things.
I just finished for books because I've been going to bed a little bit early and reading.
Uh-huh.
That's part of the reason I don't have as much to show, but um I just finished a recommendation from Roe, which was a Barbara Hambly, and it's called The Ladies of Mandragin, and it was kind of a fantasy sort of. And
I like
then
vampire stuff a little bit better.
you
Have
like what?
you read any of her vampire Barbara Hambly wrote
No,
some
but she
vampire?
recommended those as well, so I
Yeah,
have
those I
to.
like a little bit better.
And then I just started what I think is actually young adult. It's fantasy, science fiction sort of, called Under the Never Sky. But I've been kind of on a fantasy or dystopian kick um, for the past month
I have
or
a new
two.
dystopian book that I'll have to, in my pile at work, that I'll have to send you the name of.
Yeah, and I read almost exclusively on the Kindle app on my Nexus tablet. I don't do
Oh.
physical books as much anymore.
The
But
only physical books I really read are ones that I get from the library
yeah,
or ones that are from my library.
yeah, that you have to read for your kids.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
I also read the new Gail Carringer, the chick who wrote the Parasol Protectorates, wrote a young adult called Etiquette and Espionage.
I've never heard of either of those.
Really, she does steampunk.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I know Ema likes her a lot, but the Parasol Protectorate I really like because it's different steampunk.
It's a pretty
Um,
cool name.
yeah. Um, but the first one's called like Soulless. But some of the characters from her adult books, which take place much later, are kids, like some of the minor side characters in this book. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
cool. So I'm gonna have to go back and read the adult books and kind of
Yeah.
match them up. But anyway,
Now that you've sat in the Knit Girls reading corner for the last 10 minutes.
we need to pull for prizes.
Oh, yes, we do.
Totally forgot about
I'm
that.
so sorry we made y'all sit through that. Normally we just ramble at the end when it's not on a time limit. Okay,
So
so
the fiber optic in the wild contest, and that is numbers.
I
Let's
think it's
see.
5 through 16, but there's a couple that won't count if they win because I deleted the posts that were chatter because it was no chatter.
I was just letting them go. Yeah.
Um, so I'll do it's 5 through 16. I'll do random number generator here, and then you can tell me who wins.
Okay.
So 5 through 16 is on the screen. And you'll have to tell me if this is one of the deleted ones. Number 8.
8 is deleted.
Generate again. 11.
11 is Biscuit Girl. Yay!
Yay! We have a winner.
Christine on a rock.
Awesome.
Basking.
So Biscuit Girl, you can just contact Kimber, Fiber Optic Yarn, or I think it's just Fiber Optic on Ravelry, or me. You don't call me Les, whichever way works fine. And then we also have a prize pool for the bag from Absolute Wonder.
And that goes through 417.
So
So
number
2 through
two.
417.
So not that it can influence the win, but I think that Silly Fru's post was the funniest.
I loved her post. I was waiting for someone to put I would put a cat in that bag, and no one did.
But Silly Fru is funny, and she's got a podcast as well that you should check out if you don't already. All right, so it's 2 through 417. I'm going to generate 335, which is going to be on page 14, I think.
I just guessed randomly, and it happened to be that page. And that is Tap Girl, TAPGURL, and she said she would put her hot pink Hypernova. Hopefully the happiness of the bag would infuse me with the dedication to finish this amazing scarf so that I can finally wear it.
I love the Hypernova pattern. That's a beautiful pattern.
Oh, it's the Arlene's World of Lace. Mm-hmm. That is pretty. Yeah, and she's doing out of Volma's lace garn, 850 yards. Pretty.
Yeah. So rock on. Congratulations. You just Tap Girl. You can PM Laura.
Yep.
Lala. And let her know what your address is, and she will get it mailed out to you.
Yep. Most definitely. And I think that's, you were going to do a bag contest this week. You told them last week that you were going to do, you have an extra.
Yeah, sorry, picks. I lied. I don't even know where that bag is right now. It's buried on my dining room table. It'll be next week. Sorry. Well, I guess I could.
You can show yours.
I can just show mine, yeah. If I knew where I put it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is the bag, and this is from Tangerine Design, who is a lovely person. Her name is Casey. And they are jolly dancing pigs. They are happy pigs because we happen to have a conversation where I told her that pigs were my favorite animal because they're just silly looking. And it has matching silly, bright, happy interior. Right now it's holding my Numa Numa project. And it has the clever little book ring thing on the end where you can put tools or scissors or whatever.
Your belt loop.
Yeah. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. That's a good idea.
I do that all the time. That's how I knit at work.
So if you would like to win a bag that matches my bag, we'll start a thread on the group. What should we have them?
How about them link to a great fabric that they would like to see as a bag?
That's cool.
Because I know as bag makers, they there's so much fabric out there. Mm-hmm. In fact, there's one, you know that blah, blah, blah fabric that you made in my quilt? There's one that says dinosaur, 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 and I'm like, if I could find.
That's cool. And we can post some links at the top of the thread for places you can look. I know Spoonflower.
Spoonflower, Fabric Worm.
Yeah, there's tons of. I mean, you can
Oh
just go
yeah.
to Google and search fabric, and you'll. Etsy has a ton of like handmade, hand stamped and created fabric too. So that'd be cool. That'd be a cool idea for our bag people out there to get ideas. Good job, Laura. Good thinking. So, in order to request an entry to win the bag, no chatter. Your post must have a link to a fabric that you like and you think would make a good bag. Stop laughing at me. And we'll draw a winner next
Be a
week.
member of our group.
Yes, you must be a member of the group.
I will draw next Sunday.
Yeah, I already said that. You're not
Okay.
listening to me. Why don't you listen to me, Laura?
So many reasons. I can't list them all here and take like another 45 minutes. Oh.
So much abuse.
Did I send you that Valentine's card? So there's someone on Etsy. I'm gonna have to find a link, but I took a screenshot on the phone and I was texting it to people, and it's like, I love you even though you're so mean to me.
Yeah, you did send it to me, and
It's
I was
got a
like,
guy with a tear.
am I really that mean?
No, I was
Yeah.
saying that I was mean.
Okay, so this is like the episode of
Randomness.
random, yeah. So we hope that you guys have a great week, and we will talk to you again next Sunday. And
Yay.
until then, enjoy your craft. Try to find time to read, and post in our group to win.
Post in our group just in general.
Just because we're awesome that way.
Thank y'all for spending some time with us.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Oh.